What's a stupid thing you've done that you still think WTF did I do that for? Part 4. My uncle had raging toothache, got up, went downstairs to get some clove oil. Applied to his tooth, decided he needed a pee while he was downstairs. Washed his hands and ended up howling with pain, and had to dip his penis in a glass of water. He is adamant it was a pint glass. My DH is the clumsiest person ever. Our DS was invited for a football trial. It had been raining, so everywhere was muddy. The ball was kicked out of play, so DH ran over to kick it back. Hands in his pockets, he casually ran over to the ball and slipped on his face, wriggling like a fish out of water to try and get his hands out of his pockets, and failed. His entire front was covered, including his face. Our DS denied he was his dad. Not me, but I still wondered WTF he did that for. X was selling his car. It was a wreck, and he was so keen to sell it. Someone was coming to view it, and he went out to meet them, but left the car keys in his flat, along with his flat keys. Desperate to get in, he put his hand through his letterbox to reach his front door keys, which were on the shelf inside. He couldn't quite reach them, so called me at work. A colleague drove me there, and he was totally stuck. We had to take the door off its hinges, and he was wearing the letterbox like a bangle. Reader, I dumped him. When I was pregnant with Dee Dee, I was craving toasted marshmallows, so decided to toast one over the hob, on a metal fork. Confused, I can still feel the metal searing my lip. Worst of it all, I still tried to eat the bloody marshmallow, whilst the fork prong was melting of burning my bottom lip. I decided to paint my bedroom walls with white paint, opened the paint pot, and put it on a shelf. Out of nowhere, the paint pot fell off, bounced on the wooden floor, exploded paint high into the air all over my head. I was in such shock I ran to the mirror and opened my eyes, and they were completely white with paint. I looked like Grasshopper off Kung Fu. I rushed to the doctor's, who had to look up the type of paint it was in his book, and he cleaned it all out for me while shaking his head. Married STBXH, when we were seeing each other, he wouldn't call me for days. If we had an argument or disagreement, I married him, because clearly I didn't think it continued into our marriage, where he would ignore me for weeks at a time, and then started to do it to our son Prick, just glosses over it when it bring it up. I was going on holiday with some friends, and I was the only driver. Can't remember what, but we had to superglue something. Just as my friend said, make sure you don't glue your hand together. You are only driver. I glued all my fingers together and had to drive with one hand bunched up until we got somewhere with soap and water. Also, as a youngster, I loved sledding and knew no fear. Roads, rivers, lakes, and barbed wire fences. I have been in through them all in a determined effort to sled as far and fast as possible. A few weeks ago, I was walking through woods and it was a bit icy. Saw a fun rocky bit that looked proper icy. Thought, what's the worst that can happen? Broken wrist and dislocated thumb. Not me. I'm a lot more careful these days. But last time it snowed, kids were sledging down a hill, slowing down before they got to the path, before there was a steep, tree-covered bank going down to the river. So Daddy Knobhead decides to have a go, except being a big bloke, the momentum takes him crashing down the bank. Luckily not hurt. So he does it again. When I was in my mid-teens in UK and used to have what we called hitching races to get to various gigs, pubs and parties in the town I lived in dash. So the one wearing the least clothes would stand on the edge of the pavement, thumb out car or van would pull up and would jump out of the bushes into the car too. Usually had a skinful, or at least carrying a bottle of vod for the journey. It had kind of a race element to which group could get there first. We even used it to get to the Reading Festival, Phoenix Festival. Sharing a rancid cockroach-infested bedsit with a Mexican guy I met on the beach, when he chatted me up in Cancun as I'd run out of money and still had a week before my ticket back to Miami after backpacking down from Puerto Escondido. Living in the back of a transport van in New York, as part of a traveling fair, I joined with my ex for a quick bit of cash in hand. It had no windows, and whenever we turned off the torch, you could hear things moving. We buck-bombed it, and it was also full of roaches. Hitching around ounce as a backpacker, after I wrote off the car I bought years before I emigrated here. My 9 lives are defo used up. Sharpened a knife, tested how sharp it was with my thumb. 3 stitches is how sharp the ducker was. Hope you are enjoying today's video from Mother's Narrative Network. Please like, comment and subscribe for more daily uploads. Don't forget to click the notification bell. DH does loads of stupid things, but the latest one was going to the toilet. He pulled down his jogging bottoms and the elastic rebounded and snapped him right in the area right between his dick and bollocks. I think they needed to invent a new decibel noise for what came out of him. Experimenting with my new chainsaw on a stick, and cut what seemed from the ground to be a small branch. It wasn't. And I wasn't wearing my hard hat. It hit me really hard on the head and knocked me out. Badly concussed. A completely purple and blue face and 5 weeks off work. Lit a candle and put it in a plastic candle holder. Fell asleep and woke up to my dresser on fire. In my defense, who makes plastic candle holders? I suppose you can also say who is equally dumb to buy a plastic candle holder, but I was 16. Was abroad for uni for a year. Had to renew my visa. The Houses of Parliament and Home Affairs Department are very close together and on the same street. I walk there and seeing the numbers guess I have arrived, although I didn't actually see the number I was looking for, just guesstimated. Saw police officers and people going through a side entrance and thought this must be the way. Past dozens of security, plainclothes and uniformed officers, and it just didn't click. There were a few dogs as well. Saw a sign that said, gun check, and saw people queuing up and having their bags checked and being x-rayed, and for some reason didn't think this applied to me. Saw the elevator. It needed a key card to open. Walked in with someone who used his card. He also had to use it to select the floor. I calmly said 4th floor, knew this is where I was going. Noticed his surprised face, but nothing clicked in my head. Got out on the 4th floor. Start looking for the immigration department. 2 uniformed officers immediately asked me what I was doing there. I was quite irritated and told them I need to renew my visa. Can they point me to the right office? It says 4th floor. They look dumbfounded. I insist again. They come and take my folder and check my letter and appointment. They laugh and ask me how I got up here. I'm getting increasingly annoyed. Then the penny drops. They humor me and find it pretty hilarious. I blindly walked through so many levels of security and realize I genuinely made a mistake. Let's just say I got a police escort to my appointment 150 m away. The building is clearly labeled with the street name and number as well, and they carried my documents and bag for me and wouldn't leave until they left me with the clerk. I am so grateful they believed me and didn't think I was a terrorist of some sort or shoot first. I'm also not too sure if they reported my breach. Props mistress on a very serious play about the Holocaust. The curtain was left open during the interval, and some of the audience remained in their seats chatting and watching us move things ready for the next act. I helped lift a trapdoor center stage, stepped backwards with it, but misjudged, and promptly disappeared from view. There was a collective gasp from the audience, who couldn't have known that I'd safely landed 3 feet down on a mattress placed below the trapdoor. I caught my chin on the edge of the stage though, and had to go to A&E for stitches. But luckily A&E was quiet, and I was backstage again, before final curtain. I decided to make hot chocolate for me and 4 of my children. I carefully measured out 5 cups of milk, poured them into a big jug, and went to place the jug in the microwave. But the jug was too tall to fit in the microwave, so I poured out approximately 1 cup of milk and went to put the jug back in the microwave. Got on a down escalator and left my second leg behind at the top, so ended up doing the splits down the escalator until I couldn't any longer and had to quickly somehow drag my leg back to meet the other one. I had suddenly developed a fear of down escalators, which then lasted for about 10 years. I was about 8 at the time. Another time, I went up a level via escalator, and the only way down was via down escalator. I did it for a bit, then hit the emergency stop button and ran down the escalator, with alarm blaring, and it felt like a mall full of people staring at me. I once came home to find my hairdryer in the kitchen bin. My ex, who had very short hair, wouldn't tell me why. The next morning, the kids excitedly told me how Daddy tried to make cheese on toast with my hairdryer and it broke. I have no idea what he was thinking, as we had a grill and a toasty maker. As a new driver, I was on a stretch of motorway driving back from somewhere I didn't know. I would always stick to the inside lane, but on this bit of motorway another lane joined it, so that the lane I was on became the middle lane. My junction was coming up and there was a huge lines of lorries on the inside lane. I freaked out a bit, but looked ahead and thought, okay, there's only a couple of lorries ahead, and then a gap, so I can get past these ones and make my junction. All okay. Passed the first 2, then the third pulled out in front of me, but was still going the same speed. I completely panicked. Lots of fast cars in the lanes to my right, so was too scared to change lanes that way to get past the lorry. Tried dropping back to see if there was a gap further back, but had cars come up behind me. My junction was approaching rapidly, and I was in a complete panic, and in my panic I literally squeezed my car through a gap between the lorry in front of me and the lorry to my left. So stupid and so very lucky that I didn't cause a massive pile-up. I'm feeling sick just typing this. Can't believe how stupid I was. Went out with a group of girls. Ended up getting totally trashed and ended up in this random house. I still don't know how I got there. Anyway, fell asleep on this big leather sofa, and when I woke up there were about 5 blokes sat round a big table snorting lines of coke. I had to try and navigate my way out of this house and finally found a road. Had to get my mum to come and get me. She was not impressed, and I think she was still in her pajamas. Many years ago, I had met a guy, my friend's cousin, who I fancied. After a night clubbing with him and my friend, we went to my friend's house where we shared a kiss. As I was trying to light a cigarette, he said something funny, so I did my best sexy flirty laugh at it. But I turned my head at the wrong time and set a huge chunk of my hair on fire. The smell was horrific. He found it hilarious. I had a bald patch on one side and smelt like burnt hair. So sexy confused, so my friend, after calming down from laughing, gave me towels, and I made my way to the shower to try to get rid of the not so sexy smell of burnt hair, thinking I would have a quick shower and still have time to salvage some sexy time with my crush. But I had just shampooed my hair when the shower suddenly stopped working. I texted my friend for help, and she came to the bathroom and couldn't fix it, so I was stood there in a towel with my hair covered in shampoo. Also not a good look. My friend said she would get some hot water to rinse my hair in the sink. So I waited for a few minutes, and she arrived into the bathroom with the kettle. She said it was cool, and I stupidly trusted her. She was fairly drunk and didn't check. She poured the contents over my head and burnt my scalp. I screamed. Turns out she had boiled the kettle and left it cool for 5 minutes. I thought she had added cold water or something to it. So my scalp was all red, including my big bald patch, by the time I got dressed and returned to my crush. I was so unsexy and in agony. A few days later, the skin on my head started peeling. So I had a bald patch that I was trying to cover, as well as a peeling head that resembles very bad dandruff. I never did run into that guy again. While pregnant, I threw my own handbag into a lake. I was talking to some old friends, gesticulating, and sort of swung my arm, and let go and it dropped into the serpentine. Everything was in there: phone, purse, Oyster card, keys. As a child, I played Tarzan and swung from the curtains. My parents had to get a plaster around to fix the war. Also, similar to the Brexit mistake, I spent a while mishearing Tisha and wondering why they kept talking about a tea shop on the news. Shaved my arms when I was a teen. Didn't have very good control back, and so I ended up slicing a decent inch of flesh off my wrist, which took ages to heal. Christmas Day. Partner's parents come over, so the pressure is on. Strained bread sauce, flavor-infused milk straight into the sink because I was so tired. Been overzealous with the cheese grating and ended up grating a huge chunk of fingertip. Still got the scar. Built a big heavy wardrobe from flat pack in my bedroom in a flat I'd just moved into on my own. Built it in front of bedroom door, ready to slide it into place. Didn't slide. Couldn't get out. Had to ring my dad, who was 50 miles away, to bust into the flat and get me out. Grabbed the wrong small clear bottle out of the bathroom that the Polish cleaning lady had helpfully lined up. No glasses on. Ended up sharing my hand sanitizer with the pregnant lady next to me. Funny that it wouldn't absorb or evaporate. We both read the bottle at the same time. Lube. Yup, I just lubed up a pregnant lady at a toddler group. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Before you go, please like, comment, and subscribe for more daily uploads. Don't forget to click the notification bell.